Uh, all you.
Hello. Sorry. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 22 of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Playoff basketball holidays. It is a crazy time in sports right now. We have the basketball playoffs starting. We have the hockey playoffs starting. WNBA draft. The NFL draft is a week from today. So everything is kind of happening. It's a little bit chaotic right now. And so we're just going to try and get through as much as we can in the next hour before I have to log off. And then Kylan might finish up the pod if there's still some stuff that we really want to hit on that we didn't get to. But should we just dive right into it? Make sure to follow us on our socials on X/Twitter. We are always on there posting updates about stuff that we're doing, about anything kind of to do with the NFL and NBA, and NHL, college sports. You got all your stuff right on there. So how are you doing on this? Is it gloomy down in Philly too?
Yeah, all over, man. All over the Northeast. It's kind of gloomy. But we did get our first 80-degree day on Monday. I saw your gram. I
I
saw
went
you
to the
on the
beach.
beach.
It was
Yeah,
awesome. It was
yeah,
very, if
we
you
are.
don't know, Connecticut is obviously on the watch on the coast. We have the beautiful Long Island Sound. Um, And on beach days, it is very nice to be able to go and chill at the beach. So that's what I did on Monday after work. I just decided that Morgan needed some beach time. So it was nice. I read a book, caught up on some social stuff, listened to a podcast. It was nice. All the college kids were out, so I was a little bit jealous of them. Watching them like thrive in their college days. I was like, oh, miss it.
Yes,
Miss
yes.
it.
Well, don't we all miss that? Yeah, Monday was pretty good. We did a thing. Like Monday, I chilled. We're getting the outdoor steps in our house. We work. You shouldn't hear that, but in case you hear a jackhammer, that is why. um, but yeah, so yeah, it was a beautiful day on Monday. All right day on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Obviously Monday was the WNBA draft. We will get there. For those of you that are big fans, you saw that I solo doloed the NBA preview for the play-in, went 3-1. We'll get to that. But Morgan chose money over me. I can't blame her. But she chose money over me. So
Yeah, it's a crazy time in the NFL, the NBC world right now, with being 100 days out from the Olympics as of yesterday. So it's getting a little bit crazy at work there, and then a week out from the draft. So we are kind of, getting started, getting everything like really rolling. It's a crazy time. So we're
yeah.
excited. I'm excited.
What's up? What's up, RC? Shouts out to you,
Hey,
loyal fan right
RC.
there. RC is always there. But yeah, let's get into it. You wanna lead off since this is close to where you are right now in the
Yeah.
New England area.
So um, this was very interesting. So ESPN reported that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft had a fallout. And then there was all these different kind of reports coming in. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. This person told Kraft not to trust Belichick. This person told Belichick not to trust Kraft. Belichick wasn't sharing his coaching secrets with his lower down coaches, all this kind of back and forth stuff. And at this point, I'm not exactly sure who to believe. I mean, obviously, things ended between Belichick and Kraft this season. So obviously, like, I don't think Belichick was just like, yeah, I don't want to have a job anymore. So I'm intrigued about what actually did happen behind the doors. I don't know if we'll ever truly find out. And then the Dynasty video series came out. It was more or less a hit piece, I guess, more on Belichick. A lot of the former players were really upset with the way that they were portrayed, that they said they'd been interviewed for hours and hours and hours upon time, and they only used these tiny little snippets that made Belichick look bad. So just like a super interesting kind of time to be looking at all the different things within Belichick and within
The
within the
Patriots.
world of what was going on with the Patriots.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the most important part of that, now again, to be fair to Bob slash Robert Kraft, he did immediately say, and I kind of believe that this happened because Seth Wickersham, for those that don't know, he is a big ESPN reporter, covers the New England area very, very well, New England sports, especially he's a Patriots reporter, right, Morgan? He's a Patriots
Yeah.
reporter. He's ESPN's Patriots reporter, so he knows the in and outs of the Patriots. And like, the most interesting thing, which Morgan forgot about, that, Stephen A. Smith was really upset about today. He didn't want to think that Bob Kraft would ever do this. But I think the most interesting part of that story is that, according to that piece that they did, they said that Bob Kraft, unsolicited, called Atlanta and said, "Don't hire and don't trust."
Yes. Yeah. Well, I did. No, I did say that people were, that he was telling people not to trust
Okay.
Belichick. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed it. My
No,
bad.
it's okay. But yeah, super weird and just like,
Yeah.
again, just weird. Like that's the only words that I can kind of use to describe it is weird. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Whoever thought, if you would have asked me who the most, to add some comedy here, if you would have asked me who the most emotional owner is, I would have told you it's Jerry Jones. But apparently, Bob Kraft is giving Jerry a run for his money, because this is putting, I mean, most of us, you were either not born or like Morgan and I, babies when this happened. But this has reminded me very much, even though I was a little kid when this happened, very much of what happened between Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, right? Like
yep.
it's got that energy, that whole like, seems like Kraft's got that "if I can't have you, no one can" energy, to the point where he was calling everybody with a New England connection. We heard that the Eagles were looking at him, I guess, as more of a consultant role, because the Eagles love Patriots retreads as coaching hires, and I guess they thought better of it. Jeffrey Lurie doesn't really like to claim that he's from there, but we know he's from there. I guess Bob Kraft was really upset and was using his influence. That's kind of weird, unsolicited. Like, I get if like Arthur Blank called you and said, "Hey,
Hey, what do
hey,
you
Bob,
think about
yeah,
this?
just a heads up," but you calling them unsolicited is kind of some weird, broke up, mad boyfriend girlfriend energy here. So I hope that's not true, but I wouldn't put it past him. He seems like he's very like, "if I can't have you, no one can." So I would not put that past him. But to be fair to him, through his people, he said that didn't happen.
Yes.
But also to kind of like speculate here, that's what you would say, because that makes you look real bad. So even if you did say it, even if you did do it, you would have to say, "I didn't do it," because it makes you look horrible. So
It's
yeah,
just a weird it's a weird thing. And what I don't really understand is, I feel like if anybody has the right to be upset, it's Bill. It's not Rob Kraft. Like, that's the weird part about it, is that like I yeah, I mean, it does. It is. It's like a weird ex-girlfriend coming and telling the new girlfriend, like, don't trust him, he's a liar. Like, it's weird, because again, like, I would understand if, like, and not even, but like, if an old player came up to Bill and was like, "Hey, what is it like?" Or another coach, "What is it like to be a coach under Robert Kraft?" And he gave him some, or even Bill Belichick went on the news and was like, "This is what my experience is working underneath of Robert Kraft." That's a little bit more normal
right.
than the boss who fired him coming out and being like, "Don't hire him, blah, blah, blah." I don't know. I just think the whole thing is weird. I don't really understand it.
We need a Florio bomb. We need to figure it out. I know Florio's on it somewhere. If he's not too busy with draft, we need a Florio bomb tomorrow morning at 7.
Yeah, it's just weird to me. That's all. It's kind of all I can say. That's kind of the weirdest part of the whole thing. And I don't like, you don't mean to be cynical or whatever about it, but it's just like, what are you doing? Like, I just don't know what he's doing. It seems unnecessary and stupid and like childish, immature, kind of like all of those adjectives that grown men don't want to be described as, is kind of how I'm describing him right now.
Grown old men too. Like, I know we don't use old anymore. Grown seasoned men who have won championships together. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
it's just weird energy, man. It's like, you know, and I gotta give Bill Belichick credit because I mean we don't know, probably because he famously doesn't talk to the press. But you know, this would be even weirder if on top of that he was calling people saying don't hire like Tom Brady. Like, you know, it's kind of that energy that you're getting with like the whole, like, you know, it's a weird kind of energy. So you know, we'll move right along. Hopefully we'll get some more of that. But let me just say, like, I totally, like, obviously Bob Kraft said he didn't do this, but I could totally see it. And Seth Wickersham is an insider, so it probably did happen. So, but you know, in fairness to him, he said it didn't happen. We want to cover all bases here. He said it didn't happen, but again, that's what you would say. If only it's God, you, and Arthur Blank that knows who said what. So, and Arthur Blank's not going to leak. So, whatever. But we'll move on to the next breaking thing that happened over this week. That happened yesterday. Jonte Porter got a lifetime punishment from the NBA. Now, we were talking about this last week. It was more speculative, and our friends did a lot of research in the media about this, specifically the Action Network. Credit to them. You know, you might find it weird that the Action Network, a sports news betting website, broke a thing about betting. Yeah, there's a lot of weird, ironic stuff going on with this with this story. So, for those that don't know, Jonte Porter, a center for the Raptors, was doing a lot of prop bets. You know, if you want to get our full thoughts on this, pause this episode, go to episode 21. Morgan and I dipped in on this, but you know, you had some stuff. So the most simplest thing, RC Pete Rose. Basically, so the most interesting thing from this, I don't know how much Morgan has on it, but like I'll break down the basic details of this article. And I encourage you guys to read it. The Action Network did a really good job.
They did a really good job. They made it simple for people who don't understand betting, which I think is kind of the confusing part about this, because some people don't really understand the severity of it. It also, I saw something the other day and it was like how stupid this was. And I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it was like $11 million made playing basketball, $26,000 made gambling, and
right.
It's something around those numbers. The numbers for basketball actually might be higher than that, but millions playing basketball, thousands playing betting, and he threw his entire career away and his reputation and everything by betting. And you know,
right. And so the biggest thing and how they caught him, as you guys have heard us talk about, not that we know anything, because like, I mean, we may have friends that work for the NBA, but like we don't have nobody. I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. I don't know. Maybe Morgan has some deep connections. Maybe she's best friends with an NBA player. But from what Carmelo Anthony has said about the NBA, they have like FBI, CIA agents that used to do all that now work for them. So
I know how it works through the NFL, and it is very much like they have an entire division that is pretty much their entire job is making sure that players, coaches, reporters are not betting on games.
Yeah, I think yeah, they definitely used him to set an example. RC beat me to that. But yeah, I mean, like the biggest thing in that article was the man had this happen with Jamison Williams too. I don't know, maybe professional athletes aren't thinking, but you know, there is a such thing as a burner account. Like, we don't know what KD's burner is, but we know he has one. Like, you know, there is a such thing. I think, you know, the biggest thing here, RC kind of hit on it, right? Porter had a thing literally under his name. I think it was Jay Porter and then his jersey number, right, Morgan? Like, yeah, it was very, like, they didn't have to work to find it. Like, we
were talking about this the other day at work, and I was like, well, if you're going to cheat and you're going to gamble, which I don't recommend if you are an NFL, NBA, college basketball player, but don't be so stupid. Like, it was like he wanted to get caught. It was, yeah. a person that wasn't normally getting bet on would have large amounts of money by large amounts of people bet on him on these games where he would magically get hurt. He'd get poked in the eye, he'd twist an ankle, whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I'll give you the short version of this for those of you who, again, pause this, go to episode 21. But the Cliff's Notes version of what both of us said was this, right? So we got some more details, right? So he had a FanDuel account under his name. Morgan wasn't off with the numbers. He had like a bunch of bets that amounted to about 150K because he was betting on like prop bets. So again, the real Cliff Notes version of that, prop bets are like Jonte Porter's going to score 10 points, grab 5 rebounds, and have 2 assists. He made sure those numbers hit exactly. And we don't know like who he was betting for. I feel like it was some friends and stuff that were betting under his name. But anyway, the man made he made like 10, 11, $12 million. He was like a mid first round pick for the Raptors a year or two ago. So he was making like 10, 11 mil a year. But he had like 77K on that, and the payout was like 26K. So he's gonna need all $77,000 because I hope he saved the money over these 2 years because it's a lifetime ban. RC kind of hit on it. Yeah, they used the bench player to like set an example, and I think it's just like it turned the reason RC why I don't know if you read the article yet. Encourage you to, but the reason to you guys why you may think, oh, this is a bench warmer, it's a 6-man. Why did they do that? Treat him like he's LeBron or Steph Curry. The reason is because when they did more research, and again, the Action Network did a very good job on this. They found out that there was at least one instance of this man point shaving. Like he had 10 points. He was expected to score like 14, and he made sure he exactly hit 10 points. And the amount that he would have scored was the amount the Raptors lost by. 14, 15 points is what he usually scored. They lost by 15. He made sure he didn't give the Raptors those 14, 15 points, and they lost by that amount. And so the NBA just decided that, yeah, you were fixing that one game. The Raptors probably wouldn't have won anyway, but they lost by the amount of points that you would have scored. So, it's kind of like, we got him. And the common saying amongst our age group is, win, freak around, find out, win, win stupid prize, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like whatever you want to say, that's what happened. Like he played stupid games, won the stupid prize, effed around with the NBA and found out. Like whatever, whatever you want to say about that's what happened here. That's the simplest way of putting it. And again, go read that article by the Action Network.
They did that. Yes, they did a really, really, really good job with it.
Yeah. And also check out episode 21 where we went more in depth on this, but I don't think it's not more simple than this. The man was making $12 million, had about $100,000 in bets, mostly on prop bets, which again, he was projected to score 10 points, 5 rebounds, would hit those numbers, get sick, say his stomach was hurting, blah, blah, blah. And that's all that needs to be said on that. But to the next question, should the NBA and other sports leagues do more to ensure that this does not become a problem with their players? I'm going to let you start on this, Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is just if you're going to do it, get rid of prop bets. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot. I don't know. Again, like, it's stupid. These people are making more money than the absolute average person, and they're greedy, and I don't know if it's a sense of you need excitement. It's a sense of thrill. It's like shoplifting for some people. I don't know. And I don't know. I think betting has become so big that I don't know if you can, maybe you make people sign things that you can go to jail if you do it. I don't know. Like, I generally don't know. Like, make it actually illegal and have there be criminal repercussions for it. I don't know. Right. Make them have to pay the money back for sure. I don't think they should be able to keep the money if they get caught. Should we maybe pay the money back in double and spend time in jail or something? I don't know. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds absolutely batshit insane, but like, at what point, like, how else are you going to stop people from doing this when they already have all the money? Maybe you have to pay back all the money that you made playing that sport if you get caught. Maybe that's it.
I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. no. That's just kind of where I'm at. I don't really know. Like, and I know, again, I keep saying I know that sounds batshit crazy. Like, it sounds insane, but like a lifetime ban, yeah, that's a lot, but like he's already set for life. Like, he's fine. I mean, if he's responsible with his money, he'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Right. And Morgan and I have talked about this obviously since last summer about this. This show wasn't in existence. It was in what was it? It was in a media input in the NBC Sports office when we talked about this over the summer. But we've been talking about this. It came up a couple of months ago when we talked about this on the NFL side. But I'm in agreement that if nothing else, Morgan and I talked about this again before this show was an inception, and I'll bring it up again. She will remember that I said this before last July. But yeah, I think if nothing else, it should be in the contracts that they can't bet during their season. Like, you can bet, just do it in the off season.
That's the minimum. It should already be there. And I think it
yeah.
kind of is for a lot of the sports. I just think that
Right.
people don't obey it. So I think the biggest problem is that you have to figure out a way that people will obey it and make the punishments, be harsher, I guess.
Yeah, I think what this is obviously right. It depends on the sport. Like, I think the reason why Jonte Porter got suspended again, we talk about the NBA and basketball just in general, right? Basketball is obviously a team game, but you could have more of an impact in the NBA than you can on the NFL. Like, when the NFL suspended Jamison Williams and a bunch of the Lions players for betting, obviously that was a receiver who scores like 1 or 2 touchdowns, because in football, it's not like high school where you play all 4 ways. You only play one way, right? You either play on offense, defense, or special teams, and that's it. But in basketball, you play in both ways. You have more of an impact on the game. So it's easier to be like, oh, Jonte Porter didn't score 15 points, and lo and behold, the Raptors lost by 15, right? Because it's easier when the Raptors are, this is no disrespect to any Toronto Raptors fans that listen to our show, but y'all know y'all bums right now, right? Y'all sucking for a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. Like, y'all know y'all bumming right now. So it's easier to see like, oh, look at that, he's point shaving. Now, obviously, again, that's why they pay these former FBI, former PIs, former cops to do all these investigations. But as we just said, it was really obvious that the Bull had a thing under his name, and I don't know if you could just simply Google search that. I don't want to disrespect what they pay these people millions of dollars to do. But I just think at the bare minimum, you can't bet during your season, which I don't know if the NBA has that or it's just a wink, wink, don't do it rule. But clearly, because of what Jonte Porter been doing, it needs to be more stated. So I think the NBA should do that. Obviously, the NFL struggled with this more in the offseason than during the season, but the same thing. I know that Mike Florio did a lot of investigation into this and found out that it's kind of the same thing in the NFL that is in the NBA. Wink, wink. Don't do it during the season, but there's nothing like written. So maybe all these leagues need to do something written that says, hey, don't bet during the season, right? Because that's all we need during the Olympics is somebody that's playing basketball betting on their prop bets to be like, I'm going to take the under on Kyrie Irving for Team Australia and know something. Like, people already think these betting companies know stuff anyway. So I don't think so, RC. I think that maybe under a different commissioner and maybe the NBA is diving more into sports betting, so maybe they'll be like, okay. I mean, he has a great job. I mean, if sports betting works out like Morgan's hometown, like when you become he can be a betting lobbyist. that might be his job right there, a betting or recovering gambling addict ad person. That's probably his future. Because I don't even know if they would let him in the broadcasting right now, even as a former player, because I mean, that's just, you don't need nobody betting on stuff and stuff because you're in the media. So, there's stuff around that too. And, even Morgan and I can't really the policy for us is like, we can, but we know too much. So we don't, so we can't use the information. So so stuff like that. But moving on to a more positive story, Morgan's name twin. I don't know what it is. I said this off air before we got on here about people named Morgan and why they're so awesome. But another Morgan is making news. Morgan Price, 18-year-old sophomore for Fisk University, became the first HBCU athlete from a historically black college or university to win the Collegiate All-Around Championship over the weekend. What is your reaction to this, Morgan?
I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love that a lot of these HBCUs are becoming so much more competitive, and that athletes are choosing to go to schools. I don't know if I've really talked about this as much on here. Obviously, you guys know I'm a dance coach. A lot of the girls that I coach are African American, and I do have a lot of my dancers who choose to go to HBCUs, and they say amazing things about them when they come back. That it's so amazing to be surrounded by a culture and a university of people that look, act like them. They have that are just so ingrained in the African American culture. And so I love that people are choosing to go to these universities that are HBCUs that are African American, and doing athletics from there. It's amazing. It's so cool. And I cannot wait for them to continue to grow. I mean, we saw what Dion did with Jacksonville State a few years ago. Jacksonville State, right? A few years ago. And even Jackson State, even though he's not still there, that effect was lasted. I mean, you saw how well Jackson State did when he was there. You saw the effect that he was able to do to the locker room, to this and to that. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah, congrats to her. I was really happy for her. Again, Fisk University, I think they just started their gymnastics program like a year or two ago. So real congrats to them. Like, this is basically your sophomore year of gymnastics, and you got an all-around champ in collegiate gymnastics. So big ups to them. Big ups to Morgan Price. Hopefully this means big things. Hopefully there's an Olympics in her future that maybe we'll have some Morgan on Morgan crime there with some coverage, maybe for, well, I mean, what is she? She's 18. She's a sophomore. So yeah, 2 more years from now. And next Olympics is 2028. Maybe a 2028 Olympics bid. Maybe. But yeah, so we kind of get into this. What does this mean for college gymnastics? I can start here. I'm happy that more like Morgan said, HBCUs are diving into, collegiate, more programs that aren't like football and basketball, obviously, and track and field and stuff, and that they're actually competitive in golf and gymnastics. It's really, really good, really, really great for those athletes, because obviously most of these HBCUs are D1 programs. A lot of times we don't really hear from them until their men's or women's basketball team makes it in March Madness or in track and field, as often is. But it's good to see that they're doing well in gymnastics, like, again, in their second year. And this can only mean great things for HBCUs and money. Obviously they struggle in funding a little bit more than PWIs and stuff like that. But it's great to see. I hope that this brings more increased funding and more eyes to their gymnastics program and to gymnastics programs in general, not just Fisk University, but other schools as well, because, even though Syracuse didn't have a gymnastics program, nor Albright College, but I'm all for, if you're great at something, people knowing and you getting more eyes. This could only mean great things for Morgan Price, Fisk University, and all the other HBCUs and PWIs who have great gymnastics programs that we don't see because obviously they're not broadcasted. And, if they're not broadcasted, how can you know about them?
Well, so I get to do a lot of work up at Harvard, and I work a lot of their track and field events. And Michael's very excited about it. But I don't know if you guys know who David Oliver is, but he is the director of track and field at Howard University. He is a former Olympian, and he's awesome. He's like really good. He medaled, I believe. I'm trying to look up. I think he got a bronze medal.
Okay.
But it was really cool. I got the opportunity to talk to him when they came up to Harvard, and he was like, HBCUs are making we want to make an impact in sports. And I loved that. I was like, that's amazing. And I love that they're able to get these high power athletes to come back and coach their coach teams, and have these, him being African American himself, having these young African American athletes be able to look up to him is incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. And then the other one, North Carolina A&T. Shouts out to them. Cheer team wins the NCAA national title in collegiate. I said gymnastics, collegiate cheer. Let me correct that. But
I will explain collegiate cheer to you guys in a second. Let me look up what division. I should have looked this up. Let me look up what division they won.
Well, first off, that is exciting for them. As I fix this graphic, that is very much exciting for them. It is great. I know that for those of you the only reason you may know of this, I have to give Gabrielle Union her credit because the only reason I know about this is because she posted about how it was bringing on in real life and posted the video, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. They won, and I looked it up more, and this is the power of celebrity because for those of us who grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, you have seen whether you're a boy or a girl, you have seen Bring It On at one point or another because Bring It On was a great movie. And it was great to see. I think they won a national title. I believe it's D1, but Morgan's
Yeah,
about to correct.
so cheer is split up. So you follow for cheer and dance, you follow your football program's division. And so you're either D1 or D1A. So D1A is like the really, really big schools. So like Alabama, pretty much any like Division 1 football program is D1A. So I like Alabama, Ohio State, JMU,
Syracuse.
Syracuse. I'm trying to think of other like D1A schools, but those are like some big D1A schools that are really, really good at dance. LSU,
Right.
dance and
Let's not
cheer.
forget
And so
them, the
there's
defending champs.
Yep. So there are two separate. So there's NDA, UDA, UCA, and NCA. So really confusing. So there's two separate types of nationals. You go depending on what kind of style your cheer or dance team does. UDA is more like what you think of when you think of like traditional college dance. It's more college style performance, whereas NCA and NDA is more it would be considered all stars in like the regular non college division. So more competition vibey. This is awesome for them. Winning that first national title for your school is amazing. And they won the 2024 NCAA College National Championship in the intermediate small co-ed Division 1, which is so cool. That's an absolutely huge accomplishment. NCAA is hard to win. There's a lot of really, really good schools there. And it is, it's amazing. Just so we can kind of give props to all of the teams that competed in this week. We'll shout out some other teams that won the national championships. But yeah, so it's they go to Daytona and Collegiate Nationals 2024. I didn't even think to look up this to talk about. Very exciting. It's like my Super Bowl. So, I follow it religiously throughout both weekends of the year when we have them. Okay, I have the results right here. So for all girl open game day, Westchester University won, which is really exciting with a 98.8.
Westchester, PA?
I believe Westchester, PA.
Let's go. Shouts out to Westchester. Let's go. My brother's an alum of that school.
Division 1A game day was University of Tennessee. Division 1A Spirit program was University of Ohio State University. All-girl Division 1A game day is University of South Florida. Division 1A, just regular cheer, is University of Central Florida. Small co-ed, University of Delaware, which is awesome.
Hey, another one. UDEL, what's up? Hey, Philly cleaning up, baby.
Open Spirit program game day was Long Island University.
Okay, close to you.
Yep, game day live was Grand Canyon.
Canyon?
Canyon, yep, that's how you say that word. Open co-ed game day was Southwestern Louisiana University. Okay. All girl Division 1 Morehead State.
Okay.
Small co-ed Division 1 Eastern Kentucky.
All right,
open all girl Northwest Community College, which is cool. Division 1A finals, West Georgia Division, all girls Division 1A finals, University of South Florida. Small co-ed Division 1 finals, University of Memphis. Oh my gosh, I forget how many. There's so many divisions.
Yeah,
Open
well,
small. Yes,
shout
shout
out to
out to
all
all
the
these teams that
yes,
won.
yeah.
JMU. The reason I was following closely, my alma mater, JMU, won D1A Palm, which was like crazy, so exciting. It's their first year being. That's the highest level of competition in dance at nationals, and that was their first year being competing in that category, and they won first in that, and I believe they got third in jazz, which is so exciting.
Yeah, and shout out to my Syracuse dance team as well. They won 8th place. They were 5 spots behind JMU and 8th in jazz. And I think they were like 5th in overall dance. So congrats in hip hop. So congrats to them as well. SU dance team doing well. Hopefully they will one day get the first place. But we're glad for that top 5, top 8 finish, the highest in the ACC. So take that.
Yeah.
And
no, it's so exciting. If you had any interest in dance or cheer, check it out. Hit up YouTube. Watch these routines. They are so talented. The level of dance in college and cheer has just skyrocketed over the last few years. I could do a whole podcast just on this. But go and watch it. It is really, really, really incredible. Dance is a really hard sport. Dance and cheer are really hard sports. They're what we call subjective judged sports, like gymnastics. So even though you can do your absolute best, there's still a judge at the end of the day that's making that decision for you. Some people will argue that means it's not a sport. I will argue very much against it, that it is a sport. But again, topic for another podcast. But go and watch that. These athletes deserve all the credit and all of the accolades that they are receiving. It
you
is
call them judges.
impressive.
I call them professional haters, depending on what the score is.
Professional haters is a pretty sometimes can be very much how you feel when you leave a competition. It's hard. It's very hard subjectively. Cheer is a little bit easier, in my opinion, to judge than dance, because dance is cheer. There's more of a formula for how your routine is supposed to look, whereas dance is a lot more. You just have a little bit more creativity on the things that you like have to put in your routine. There's not. Cheer kind of has more of a structured order of how your routines go. And it makes it harder for the judges, in my opinion, because there are just, it sucks. And it is the worst part about being a dancer or a cheerleader, is that even on your absolute best day, someone is still judging you, and that it's hard sometimes. So let's move on to another exciting aspect of women's sports that are happening. The WNBA draft was on Monday.
Right, and can we just say shout out to all the women doing well? I mean, obviously we led with 2 very, very serious stories on the men's side in the NBA and the NFL, but I mean, this is what back to back stories that we're loading out, and it's not just the Caitlin Clark effect. As you see, Morgan Price, North Carolina A&T cheer team, like these women and men are doing so good with so much great things. But yeah, the WNBA draft, as expected, Caitlin Clark went first. We had some very, 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 very good stuff in the top 10. Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese are teammates. That'll be interesting. Like it's a real good time to be a WNBA fan. So I don't know any surprise for you. I think the biggest surprise for me was when Allison Pillay from Utah, or as I like to call her, Simone Shack, went in the top 8. So was really happy for her. Just really surprised, because I thought she was a top like 10, 12 talent, but I didn't actually think that somebody would pick her in the top 10. But hey, shouts out to her for doing it and being there. So I
had 2 big shocks. I thought that Nika Mule would have gone a little bit earlier from UConn. I think the Seattle Storm got an absolute steal with her. It's fun that Sue Bird was also number 10 at UConn, drafted by Seattle Storm. I don't know if you saw her video that she posted afterwards. It was very cute. She was like, Nika, like, they're going to love you there. I'm so proud. But we do have to figure out this jersey situation, which is very funny, because obviously she can't wear number 10 in Seattle. So we'll have to figure that out, which is fun for everybody.
Isn't it retired? It's retired, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if it's officially retired yet, but like, It will be. So there's no point in starting a legacy somewhere wearing a jersey you're not going to be able to wear. And then I think that, lastly, the craziest part was Caitlin Clark's teammate just showing up, just there to watch the draft, and then here's her name. Here's her name gets called as she gets drafted. She was described as the glue, the heartbeat of that Iowa team, and I'm really happy for her. We obviously all knew that Caitlin Clark was going to get drafted, but I was reading some behind the scenes stuff where, there we go. Sorry, I didn't even say her name, Kate Martin. Yes. But there was some stuff where people were like, well, Kate didn't even look surprised, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yes, well, it is still a TV show. So all of a sudden, when the cameras start to walk over, for those of you that don't know, camera crews will get kind of maybe a 2-minute, 5-minute warning on who's getting drafted, so they can get camera shots set up. They can make sure there's a clear path to the stage as well. They probably heard that Kate was getting drafted, and they're like, shoot, she is literally not sitting down here where the draftees are. Then they said they had to move some tables, move some spots so that she could walk up and accept her draft, go take her picture with the commissioner. And it was just, that was very fun. And then lastly, I'll just have to say, I love all the support that all these women are giving each other. You saw it from the Iowa girls, you saw it from the UConn girls. I know that was going crazy with Paige and Ozzy there filming, and everyone was sharing the gif of the mom
Mama Paige.
Mom from Mean Girls doing the in the thing while they're doing the dance at the Christmas show. I completely agree. Meals should have gone higher, but I think that the Seattle Storm they're going to be lucky to have her, and I think that's going to be a really, really good team. Absolute steal, in my opinion. So I was going to say.
So for me, the winners and losers of the WNBA draft, I don't really know if you can really lose. Let me just start here, because I know some people are going to be mad at me when I say this. I don't really know if you can lose the draft when you won a championship, but I got to say the Aces, just because I know that obviously, when you have Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Aja, obviously the biggest star in the league, Aja Wilson, it's kind of hard to lose a draft. But I think they lost the draft. I mean, obviously they got a guard out of an HBCU. They got obviously my girl Daisha Fair, so I added some more shooting, which is what they needed. Need some 3-point shooting, because Aja Wilson is a lot of things, but a 3-point shooter she is not. So, but I know RC is disagreeing with me, but yeah, I think he told me to get out. He or she told me to get out of her head. But yeah, I think that the Aces kind of lost it for me, even though they got my girl Daisha Fair, and they got the.
Here's the thing, though. Here's where I'll disagree with you on that just a little bit. I think it's impossible to lose the WNBA draft, and here's why. Because there are so few teams and so many good players coming out of the WNBA right now that none of these teams really need people. That's the difference. They don't desperately need something new. They can always use new fresh people. People are always retiring, but look at the average age of the WNBA versus any other professional sports. It's much, besides golf, it's much higher because these players don't leave. We're going to get into this in a little bit, but the pay is,
which is why they need to expand.
Yeah, and this has been something that's been going on for years, and hopefully with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and next year Paige Beckers and Camila Cardoza, all these big name players, they will be able to expand. That's kind of the goal, right? Is that we as consumers want to see these people in the WNBA, and they can only have so many people on their roster. They can only pay so many people on their roster. So, I agree. I agree with them that it's hard. They can't obviously take everybody, but they also, so they can't take everybody, which sucks. So again, if you're going to have 36 players on a roster, it goes down to 10 or 12 actually make it. It's crazy. You know,
Yeah.
so
You
that's
know
why
I
you
know.
see all of these players getting cut. And then
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but like last season there was all of these high level girls. I don't remember her name. She was on South Carolina, but she went kind of viral because she was saying that these older people in the W need to leave and give room to the newer players. She kind of walked her statement back and she was like, really what needs to happen is we need an extension, but like these newer players are never going to have a shot if players don't retire or there aren't more spots on the team, because there's just not the amount of people that are retiring and leaving is not equivalent to the people that are coming into the league.
I'm leaving. RC, you try to get us in trouble. I'm leaving that alone. You try to set Morgan up as a UConn fan. We can't have Diana Taurasi slander over here. But you're not wrong.
My girl.
So you're talking about
LSU.
election.
Yes. Apologies, LSU.
But yeah, like my thing is with the WNBA. Hey, I'll give my girl Kathy Engelbert from Collinsville, New Jersey. Shout out the Philadelphia area of New Jersey over here. I'll give Collingswood. I'll give her some free game. You should come up with a W. You don't even gotta call it. I know the NBA got the G League. You can call it the WG League. Come up with that, and that way you could have these teams that have G League teams or whatever you want to call it, W League teams, and that way you can have the places, because I think that's what really helps college players that want to leave, want to get their money. You should have a women's G League Ignite like they do for the men. Why not get a G League? I'll give you some free game there. Get a G League. Just real quick here, because we want to get into the more the stuff that was really grinding our nerves about this salary situation. But the winners obviously Chicago Storm. I mean, come on now, getting Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. Like I can't like there's any bigger winner than that. Obviously, got to give the Sparks some credit too. They also won, but I think the biggest winners are Chicago for getting that twin towers of Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. Like where Angel Reese is weak, Camila Cardoso is strong. Where Camila is weak, Angel is strong. It's great for Chicago. So I can't be mad at that. Did you say your winners, or did you just say everybody won? You're on mute. Morgan, you're on mute, so no one.
Sorry, the dogs are barking. Yeah, I think it's hard to lose in the WNBA draft because I think that all these players are absolutely so talented. I think the Sparks, obviously, like I think they, not the Sparks, the Storm. I said I think the steal with Neil was awesome. But this is gonna be fun. I feel like this is probably one of the most well-known draft classes in a while, at least for the WNBA, and I am sure that a lot of that is because of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Camila Cardoso. Like all of us, we know they're becoming household names, which I can't say that about many of the other draft classes in recent years, which is really exciting that I think these names are becoming, like I said, household names. And I'm hoping that next year there's some more of these girls that are definitely going to come out where people are going to know them as well. So I hope that the college game doesn't get left behind with Caitlin Clark gone.
Well, I mean, they got to stay. They got to stay for 4 years, so they'll find another star, some other stars.
That's true.
They got Paige and Ozzy, so they're good. And Juju's there for another 3 years. They are good. They've got Mawasia for Wiley. And I mean, like, look, and this is my last thing I'll say, because this kind of builds into the salary debate thing that we're going to get into. You really saw the effects of NIL, right? Because I mean, if you look at most of those schools that were represented outside of Syracuse, there was really like no real football powerhouses. I mean, all those athletes that you saw, their NIL packages, because they are the biggest stars on their campuses. I mean, was there a bigger star on Iowa's campus than Caitlin Clark? I mean, other than Jaden Daniels, was there a bigger star? And Malik Neighbors, let me not disrespect him. Was there a bigger star on LSU's campus than Angel Reese? Like maybe her teammate, but like,
probably. What's the gymnast's name from there?
Oh yeah,
female as well, but
Livy
yes,
Dunn.
Livy Dunn.
Yeah.
She might rival Angel just a little bit, but
Yeah, probably them. I mean, but both of them had the two highest NIL packages on LSU. So you saw that, right? You saw that they were all in. Like, what was Caitlyn in? Like Gucci and Gabbana. Like, she was saying that
she
was the
looked.
first time
They all looked so good. Oh my god,
they.
I was obsessed with Caitlin Brink's outfit.
Yeah,
Can't Caitlin Brink.
Cameron.
Cameron
Yeah,
Brink.
you.
She
I think
looked
they were saying that was the first
so.
time that Doechii had like dressed up anybody in the NBA or WNBA. So I mean, that's just the power of, and this is why I said like a couple weeks ago, $5 million was chump change to her because her NIL package, I think in Iowa was like $3 million. You can do that when you're the biggest, when you're the most famous person on your campus. Like I fully think that she had to have security to go anywhere on that campus, probably in Iowa. But to the biggest thing, shout out to RC. Kind of ran your comment a little bit there, but yeah. So the WNBA salary debate. So for those of you that don't know, obviously this has become more in vogue right now because Caitlin Clark is coming in. So people are like salary hopping because like I think Victor Wembanyama is making like 12 million. He's not really making 12 million. He's probably making more than that off of game checks. And obviously he's an international star, whereas Caitlyn is a regional star in the country. I'm sorry, a national star, not an international star. She'll get there, but she's not there yet. So it's kind of not fair to him to compare those two because that's not really the same thing. But, what's your thoughts on this? Because I know you got to go, Morgan. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, we've talked about this a ton. It's yes, the salaries are low. But they are getting their money in endorsement brands and things like that. The hope is that because of Caitlin Clark and some of these big names, that it will drive attendance, it will drive viewership, which will then in turn be able to drive salaries up. You hear the talk all the time. Well, do you think they should get paid the same? Well, they don't get the same viewership as men's basketball, as NFL, as things like that, which is true. And that sucks, but it is still a business. So there needs to be a happy medium. It does suck that these players have to go overseas and make their money and that kind of stuff. We talked about this a ton with Brittany Griner when she was in Russia. But the hope is that kind of this new wave of interest in women's basketball will drive up viewership, drive up attendance, drive up ticket sales, drive up jersey sales, drive up all of the things that will in turn go into helping raise the salaries for women's basketball players.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'll say it like this, right? Obviously, like, and again, Caitlin Clark came out, like, most of us were probably watching the Sixers and the Heat, or you were watching whatever you watch on a Wednesday night. But, Caitlin Clark, it turns out, had got an 8-figure, signature deal, probably an extension of whatever deal she had already with Nike. And she's getting a signature shoe, so she's getting 8 figures from that, which is why I said don't really, like I say, basketball players, men's and women's basketball players, they make the most money because it's not just their game contracts, it's the endorsements. Because obviously, other than soccer players, basketball players are international stars who get those big endorsements. So it's kind of like that's what it is. Like it's kind of like that. And I fully like in an ideal world, as both of us have said, like in an ideal world, like they should have like in an ideal world they should be paid equally to LeBron, to Steph, to Joel Embiid, to all these people, but they are not because like the NBA could end this debate today if they like would fully fund the WNBA, but the WNBA, I'm sure that there's some things there where the WNBA doesn't want the help. NBA probably does want to help them, but it's all under the NBA banner anyway. I'm sure there's some internal stuff that we don't know about. That is the reason why the NBA doesn't fully fund it. You'll probably see an increase in salary because now the WNBA is talking about how they want to separate their TV deal from the NBA because they've got freaking Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Ozzy, and Paige coming in the next 2 years. So obviously they have a reason why they want to trade. But like I think that Asia Wilson should have been, RC is saying this too. I think Asia Wilson should have been had a shoe deal. She is the superstar of superstars. And obviously, Caitlin Clark is a superstar, but, Aaliyah Boston is already on that team. So she's really the superstar, but you're going to have two superstars together. So there's going to be eyes on it. And I just think that, it's going to look really good. And I think that people should wait. But I'm of the opinion that they should get paid equally. But obviously, it's not happening. But I think it's coming. Um, and Morgan, because I know you have to go.
Yeah. I agree. I'm excited for this rookie class. It's going to be really fun. I'm intrigued to see who's going to win Rookie of the Year. I know that Caitlin Clark is way and above on the betting odds to win it. But here's the thing. I mean, she's going to be playing at a different kind of level than she was at before. I'm not saying that she's not going to be good. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm interested to see if some of these bigs can make a big impact in the league right now. So we'll see what happens, who wins Rookie of the Year. And I don't know if I'll be able to see you guys next week. It is draft week for the NFL. So maybe we'll do something on Wednesday, or maybe I'll pre-tape a little segment and Kylan can play it on here for you guys. But we'll figure out some stuff. Hit me up with any draft questions that you guys have. I've gotten to look at some of these draftees a lot, and I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what teams they go to. I'm excited to see who the Giants take. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's excited to see where all these quarterbacks go. Very, very, very excited about that. So I will see you guys next week, and have a good rest of the show, Kylan. And I didn't have any she's not him, he's not her. I did kind of have one, but I really didn't want to get into it. It was the reporter who asked Caitlin Clark the stupid question. Did you see that?
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, what was that? So weird.
Indy Star reporter too.
They will credential anyone these days, I guess. But like, do better. Don't stop asking women weird questions on stand. Like, you wouldn't ask that to a man. That was a really, really, really freaking weird question. Don't ask stuff like that. But everything is good. Actually, I definitely am not going to do next Wednesday because that's my birthday. So I'm be 29. Almost.
Wow,
30.
happy early birthday.
Thank you. I know it's gross and weird and exciting, but okay. So I will hopefully see you guys at some point next week. But if I don't see you before the draft or before I go to Vegas, I might see you guys in 2 weeks. So I have a kind of crazy, busy few weeks coming up. So, do you want me to find the question? I don't the exact wording.
Yeah, I think what it was, RC, was it was the Indy Star, the main Indy Star guy who covers Indiana, the Indiana teams. He just asked her, I believe, about the heart sign that she makes to her family and her fans, and she was saying the gist of it was he asked her, "Hey, could you do that for me every time we're in the game?" That's what brought up the whole weirdness.
No. So this is the exact. She says, "What is the heart thing that you do?" And she said, "Oh, you like that?" And then the reporter said, "I like that you are here." And Caitlin said, "Yeah, I do that to my family after every game." And the reporter said, "Start doing it to me and we'll get along just fine." And Caitlin Clark was like, and it was a man saying that question, which was really, really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he says he doesn't know that, he or she says he doesn't know that person. But yeah, so it was an Indy Star reporter from whatever their main, from the Indy Star. But yeah, so Morgan's got to go do some pre-draft stuff. Great to have her as always. We will see her. If nothing else, everybody say happy early birthday to her on Wednesday. She's turning a big 2-9.
Yeah. So I'll see you guys. Have a good rest of your week. And congrats to all the ladies that we got to talk about today. Women are doing big things in sports.
Yeah. See ya. And so our last thing on this WNBA side that we're doing today is Kathy Engelbert, again, Collingswood, New Jersey. Yes, RC, that was very creepy. Collingswood, New Jersey native was talking about, that as RC pointed out, that they want to expand the WNBA in the cities. Obviously, the San Francisco team is coming next year, but they want to bring it to Philadelphia, Nashville, Toronto, Vancouver, etc. My reaction to this is that is great. I think that there should have been a team in Philly all this time. I don't understand how you can have a team in New York, you can have a team in Charlotte, or used to have a team in Charlotte. You had a team in Sacramento. You got all these teams that used to be, and none of those teams were in Philly. So like I really want to see a team in Philadelphia, not just selfishly because I would love to cover that team, but also just because I think that Philadelphia is a great market, top 4 media market. Eyes are here. We love basketball. I love any sport really. And so I think it's really good. I think it's a good idea. They need to expand, as RC pointed out. They're at like 16 teams now. They need to be at like 30. For they should have the same amount of teams as the NBA, and they should have a women's G League. Um, yeah. And her coach sparring on defense about her visit. Yes, she did really play defense. Yeah, I did hear about that. Yes, I did, RC. Thank you for pointing that one out. But yeah, I think that that Philly will be great. I think Nashville will be great. I think that they should just bring back all the old teams. Bring back the Houston Comets, bring back the Sacramento Monarchs, bring back the Charlotte Sting. Those of you that don't know, yeah, I've been watching WNBA for a long time. I remember those teams. So yeah, bring all those teams back. And I think that they'll be all right. But they need to get to 30 teams, and they need some G League or women's G League teams. I think that'll be great. Get a development league so that way people don't have to go overseas. That's just my thought. So on the football side, I know Morgan is kind of mad she didn't get to discuss this. Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith has a 3-year extension with the Eagles that will keep him in Philadelphia until at least 2028. And so as you know, I'm gonna put my Eagles fan hat, take that off real quick. But as an Eagles fan, I am very, very happy that that happened. I think that the Eagles did a great job having all their main offensive weapons now signed at least until 2028. I think it's great that Devontae Smith and AJ Smith are now, or Devontae Smith and AJ Brown now are making about the same now. So there was we were a lot of people, Eagles media and Eagles fans, were getting on Dan Sileo of Jakib Media about the fact that he was like, you can't have Devontae Smith making more money than A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is a diva. It's going to be all over. It's going to be chaos. Jalen Hurts will fold. And, the Eagles clearly didn't listen to that. They paid Devontae Smith about the same as they're currently paying A.J. Brown. And it was great to see. I'm glad that that Smitty got taken care of. And I fully expect the Eagles to be in the Super Bowl and probably win one in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think that this is going to be great for the Eagles, great for continuity and team continuity. So I'm really happy about it. And, I don't think there's any more to be said until we see. Obviously, we know that they straight nosedive. Yeah. The Eagles know, obviously, we all know that Nick is clearly on the hot seat. You don't bring in the new offensive coordinator from LA. And I think there is a wink deal that if he folds, that they will definitely hire him. So I definitely can see it. And I think that obviously there's a lot on the Eagles. They have a lot to respond to, and I think they will. And I think that they're going to be the kings of the NFC again. Do the Eagles have the best roster right now in the NFL pre-draft? Yes, they do. They have the best weapons. Obviously, we are now seeing that Brandon Ayuk is going back and forth with the 49ers now. He done took all 49ers credits off his Instagram, so the games are beginning there with the contract stuff. So after they finish paying Brandon Ayuk, they'll have to pay the quarterback and everything else. It'll start doing this in San Fran very, very quickly. So I think the Eagles right now, they have the continuity, they have the best team, and they'll be great. All right. Now we enter the NBA portion of the program. The Sacramento Kings fold up the Golden State Warriors. Oh me, oh my! If you are a Warriors fan, I know that was pathetic to watch. Everybody but Steph Curry show up. I know that Klay Thompson was shooting was shooting nothing but bricks. RC and the rest of our fans, I don't know if you saw this, but I guess somebody was like that the I guess the Twitter AI or AI was confused because they saw the sentence Klay Thompson shooting up a bunch of bricks going 0 for 10, and they actually thought he was building a house of bricks instead of what it was. So those of you that think that you're gonna have an iRobot situation with AI taking over everything, like the AI was confused about what people were talking about with Klay Thompson building a house of bricks and thought they were actually building a house of bricks. I think to answer this question, quick question for you is showing to the final stretch. Whose rebuild retool starts first, Warriors or Hawks? Honestly, I think it's going to be the Hawks because I think the Hawks are going to now have to choose between DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. And I think they're going to choose DeJounte Murray. I think that's stupid of them, but I think they're going to choose DeJounte Murray, especially now that Trae Young is coming off a hand injury, even though he's younger. So I think the Hawks rebuild to start first. I think they'll lose Trae Young. They'll try to re-sign DeJounte Murray, and I think ultimately he'll leave too. So the Hawks will be down a little bit. They'll be back to rebuilding off the top 10 picks. I think for the Warriors, God, I was about to get into this, so thanks, RC, for prompting me on this early. I think the Warriors will keep Steph Curry. They will get rid of Draymond Green. They will probably lose Klay Thompson to somebody who will pay him to be a starter, even though he's still recovering, obviously, from breaking his leg. Obviously, I broke my femur, so I kind of know what he's going through. I'm not as tall as Klay Thompson, but I kind of know what he's going through as far as the leg thing. You got to trust your leg again. You got to, get back up to, trusting it again, and I don't think he's there yet, but I think he will be. So I think the Warriors, I think the Kings kind of folded up the Warriors and ended the dynasty, and I think that, they'll keep Steph Curry for another couple of years, and then, Steph Curry will retire, and then they'll have to build around Kuminga and them. So I think the Hawks will start rebuilding before the Warriors, just because I don't think they're going to trade all three of their big three. I think that they will get rid of Draymond Green, to answer your question, RC, and Klay Thompson, but they'll keep Steph Curry until the wheels fall off. And kind of to that, is this the end of the Warriors dynasty? I think the Warriors dynasty, in what we know it as over the last 10 years, is over. But I think Steph Curry, his greatness is good enough to propel them to another Western Conference Finals. But I don't know if it's good enough to propel them to another championship. I think the last one in 2022 against Boston was it for them as a unit. I think Steph Curry can win one by himself, but he needs more stars around him. It's time to start drafting. But I think the Warriors dynasty, as we know it, is over, and the Kings kind of put the nail on the coffin. They ended. They buried the Warriors dynasty. Kind of fitting that it was the Kings that did it. And now the Warriors have to do what the Kings did: start building through the draft. Keep Steph Curry around until he retires, and then start accumulating them picks, start OKC thundering it, right? Get 28 picks for the next 20 years, like the Thunder did. So yeah, and then outside of that, we have the Lakers over the Pelicans. For those of you, pause this right now. I did a whole preview show. RC watched it, and there was a bunch of other of y'all who watched it. Thank you for that. I did a preview show for each of the playing games, went 3 for 1. This was the one I got wrong because Anthony Davis played. LeBron James went out of his mind, and Zion Williamson, unfortunately, showed us what the future is for the Pelicans, scoring 38 points and then hurt his hamstring, so he didn't play. But, I am, excited for the Lakers and all the Lakers fans in my life who are very excited. Stephen Curry, much like Klay Thompson, both amazing, but they both need some real help. Much like everyone who wins the title. Correct, RC, correct. Yeah, so I think the Lakers, they took it from the Pelicans. It was looking bad for the Lakers. The Pelicans were threatening to shoot them off the floor, and then they started missing their threes, and then it just all went to hell for the Pelicans, and the Lakers rose up. Now they get the Nuggets. I will get into that series later on, but I think that the Lakers, are prime right now, and they're getting healthy at the right time, and we'll see what happens as they prepare for the Nuggets. Now, just to give you a little spoiler alert for later, I think the Nuggets will beat them in at least 5 or 6 games, but I'll get into that more later on in this program. Um, as I just alluded to, Zion Williamson, he scored 38 points. He was fitting to drop like 40 or 45, maybe 50 against the Lakers because of the way they were playing him. He was just big man in them, son in LeBron, son in AD. No one can really deal with Zion Williamson. Like LeBron kind of got a little taste of his own medicine as he was just trucking LeBron when he decided to charge the paint. And it was really, really amazing to see. But Zion Williamson will miss this play-in game tomorrow night against the Kings due to a hamstring injury, like I said. And that is very unfortunate because I think Zion Williamson was finally coming into his own. I think he'll have a big impact on the Pelicans next year. Hopefully he can heal up. And I think the future is bright. I think the Pelicans should re-sign him because I think if they let him walk, they're going to be doomed as a franchise. And I think he'll make probably an Eastern Conference team very, very happy if he leaves the Pelicans in the next 2 to 3 years. But yeah, I think you saw the future. Zion Williamson, he's healthy. He's seems like he's finally in the right mindset, and I think if he gets a perimeter game and isn't just relying on the paint and like the Giannis treatment like of trucking people and ducking the ball, I think he's going to be a great player, and then he just needs to get better on defense as well. And I think the Pelicans will be primed to be competing. Man, RC, bro. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, like I am of the mindset that Zion Williamson just has to get a more consistent jump shot, not a 3-point shot, but just a more consistent perimeter shot, and he'll be primed to take over the league and be competing with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, and the Minnesota Timberwolves for that top spot. So now we hit into the Sacramento Kings and Pelicans preview. The one thing I didn't call about the Kings beating the Warriors, the only thing I didn't call was Harrison Barnes. I think I mentioned that Harrison Barnes needed to score at least 15 to 20 points, but I didn't actually think he would do it. And then he showed me, right? He ended his team, and I think if they can get another performance like that from Harrison Barnes, another good performance from De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, yeah, I think the Kings will fold up the Pelicans, especially without Zion Williamson, because they definitely are going to need more from C.J. McCollum, more from Brandon Ingram, more from Troy Murphy Jr., who's a 3-point bomber. Like they're just gonna need more. Ultimately, I think the X factor again for the Kings is Harrison Barnes. Yes, RC. I agree with you. The Kings definitely should win this game tomorrow night. They are the deeper team, the younger team. I think that the only thing that they'll be missing is who will be the third scorer. Will it be Harrison Barnes? Will it be Keegan Murray? Will it be somebody? That's not even on the mind right now. It's probably going to be Malik Monk, but we'll see. I think Malik Monk is primed to like earn some money. Yep, you're right. Reading my mind, yeah. Brandon Ingram has to be that guy. CJ McCollum has to turn back the clock, and Troy Murphy. Like Troy Murphy has to turn back the clock. I mean, you know what? He is though. Like he's a second superstar. That's what he is. He is a second. He's a Scottie Pippen. He's not a Michael Jordan. He'll have to be Michael Jordan tomorrow because obviously Zion isn't there. But like him and CJ McCollum have to have really great games for the Pelicans to pull up the upset. And they have to get a star performance from their bench. If the bench shows up, if CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram show up, then the Kings have no chance. But I think that's a low likelihood of happening. So I think the Kings will win. And I think De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Keegan Murray, and Harrison Barnes or somebody else, probably Malik Monk, will end the Pelicans, and the Pelicans will have some soul searching to do and probably need to get some more depth on the bench and stuff, especially behind Zion, so that they can continue to ascend. But the biggest question that I think we all want to know, sorry about that, is can either of these teams beat the Oklahoma City Thunder? No. 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 The Kings and the Thunder, just because that'll be the battle of young stars, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander versus De'Aaron Fox. I'm drooling right now just thinking about Shea versus De'Aaron Fox. Like, I think that's going to be a great matchup. I think it goes 6 games. But I think if the Thunder show up the way I think they show up and they dominate on both sides of the ball, X factor there will be Lou Dort and both Jalen Williams is. And I think the Wiggins as well. Like if all of those players show up, then yeah, the Kings have no chance. It'll end in 5 games. But I think it's Thunder in 6 over the Kings. Thunder in 4 if the Pelicans, if what's left of the Pelicans beats the Kings tomorrow night. But I'm gonna say this: I think the Kings will win, and I think it'll be Kings and Thunder, Thunder in 6. That's what I think. Uh, oh well, congratulations, RCA. Big ups to you. Big ups to you, man. 1 year anniversary of your YouTube channel. I'm so happy for you, man. Good job. Good job. 1 year anniversary. Yeah, 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 man. It's a hard thing to keep a consistent YouTube channel. So big ups to you for that. Congratulations, my man. But yeah, like I literally that's where we are. So let's get to the meat and potatoes. Philadelphia 76ers, my Sixers, overcome a 14-point deficit to beat the Miami Heat. My reaction here is like I said yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was Tuesday. As I said on Tuesday, right, the X factor was going to be Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias Harris really was the only one in the first half that really didn't fold. And obviously, Joel Embiid, for obvious reasons, was hobbled because of his knee. It's game to game sometimes with his knee if he's going to be good. And obviously, Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid had their worst games of this 9-game winning streak that they're on. They couldn't score a bucket. It turns out the Heat were kind of playing a triangle within their zone, which is designed to. It's one of those unique concepts that only the Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra can come up with, where they basically built a zone that was built to stop Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and it did a great job up until Daryl Morey's acquisition showed up. Nicholas Batum and Buddy Hield came up, started attacking. Buddy Hield started attacking the basket, getting to the cup. Only scored 7 points, but created a lot more points, especially for Nicholas Batum, who scored 20 points, a season high, and really helped the Sixers win that game. SRC, that game was really good. Really stressed me out a little bit. But it was great. It was a great contest. I wrote an article about this, which should be in the description box below. A preview for lastwordonsports.com. You can check that one out, and also check out my article from yesterday's results on watsonsportstakes.com. The headline for the article is Frozen Heat. So definitely check that one out. But yeah, the Sixers overcame. They showed a lot, man. There are games that I said before when Nick Nurse came here that there were games that Nick Nurse is going to win for the Sixers that they wouldn't have won if Doc Rivers was still here in Philly. And this was one of those games. Like the Sixers had every reason to just be like, oh, we'll pack it up. We'll host the Bulls or the Hawks, and they could just resign themselves to their fate of facing the Celtics. But instead, they pulled their pants up, put their big boy pants on, put the Heat in their place, and kept it moving. Now, the Sixers now will face the Knicks before the Heat, right? The big thing for the Heat, it turns out that it seems like Jimmy Butler tore his MCL, so the Heat now will have to face a rejuvenated Bulls squad, and I'll get into this later. Without Jimmy Butler, and I don't know if that's a game that the Heat can win. So I'll get into that. But for the Sixers, right? The others, there needs to be a third scorer. Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, Nicholas Batum. Somebody has to be that third scorer if they want to beat the big bad Knicks. First time since 1989 that both of these teams are meeting in the playoffs. Sixers versus the Knicks. And in that series, the Knicks swept the Sixers in '89. Obviously, that was 15 years ago. Not 15, about 25 years ago. My bad. That was a long, no, 89. That was a long time ago. It was 34, almost 35 years ago. So let me not trip there. 89 was a long time ago. These teams, I think it'll be determined by which team's X factors show up. So for the Sixers, it's going to be determined by Kelly Oubre Jr., Tobias Harris, and Nicholas Batum, right? Like Kelly Oubre Jr. will more than likely play defense, play against OG Anunoby and probably Josh Hart. So if he can slow down specifically Anunoby and also keep Hart off the boards and continue to score like he's been scoring 15 to 20 points a night, and is that third score or the fourth score for the Sixers, I think the Sixers can get this done in 6 games, maybe 5, because I think that the Sixers are the more talented team. The Knicks do not have Julius Randle, so they really don't have anybody who can compete with Joel Embiid. They Tyrese Maxey, obviously the Knicks are a great defensive team, but Tyrese Maxey has been scoring 20 plus points against the Knicks. Joel Embiid is 18-3 career against the Knicks. He doesn't lose to the Knicks. And so I think he's only lost 3 times in his career to the Knicks. So I think this it's on the side for the Sixers, because the Sixers are kind of a deceptive 7 seed. They're on a 9-game win streak. They are the hottest team in the league. This will be a slugfest, and I think the Sixers will win. I think Nick Nurse will adjust to whatever the Knicks do. And I just don't think Tom Thibodeau is a better coach than Nick Nurse. I think the Sixers have the coaching advantage in every series. All right, we'll see you later, RC. Thank you, man. Maybe one day we can get you on here. Have you on? Hit us up. Hit me up on Twitter and stuff. Yeah, you too, huh? You got 6s and 6 or 7. I got you, man. I got it in 6 or 5. But yeah, man. Thank you so much for listening. Great time with you. Have a great rest of your day. But yeah, so I think the Sixers will win this game in 6 games, but obviously it's all inclusive of which of the X factors will show up. I think if Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Nicholas Batum show up, this ends in 5 or 6 games. I think if Joel Embiid can find himself, continue to score, and at least be a threat from the perimeter, and if Tyrese Maxey, obviously Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey had their worst games. Joel Embiid had 23 points, grabbed 15 rebounds, still had 5 assists, hit those pivotal 3-point buckets, and found himself in the fourth quarter. So if he can do that throughout all these games in this series coming up, I think the Sixers win this contest in 5 or 6 games. And I think that yep, my Twitter is in the description. Yeah, at Kylan W Watson RC. Yep. It is in the description. So think that the Sixers should win this in 6 or 7 games before for the Knicks fans to give them some hope. I think the X factors for them are, like I said, OG Anunoby. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is going to get his. Is OG Anunoby going to show up under the playoff pressure? Is Josh Hart going to show up? And you need somebody else. Bogdan Bogdanovic, they said, is having wrist problems. He just saw a wrist specialist yesterday. Doesn't seem like he's going to play in this series, and so he's their 3-point specialist. If he's not able to shoot the 3 for them, then I don't think they have a consistent 3-point shooter. Jalen Brunson is good, but he's not consistent enough. So I think that they need that 3-point shooter. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be OG Anunoby? Is it going to be Josh Hart? You got Dante DiVincenzo. Obviously, he's their best 3-point shooter, but if Bogdan isn't there to take that pressure off him and get those single coverages, then the Sixers have a lot of great wing depth, and they will be able to put Kelly Oubre Jr., Tobias Harris, Kyle Lowry on Dante DiVincenzo. And can he handle that? Can he handle that tight defense that happens in a 5 to 6 game playoff series? I think the experience is on the Sixers side, coaching is on the Sixers side. But as far as for the Knicks, OG Anunoby has to show up. Dante DiVincenzo has to show up. Josh Hart has to show up. And if all those players if Jalen Brunson can't create shots, get them open, if they're not allowed to be on the boards, then I think that the Knicks will. If the Knicks are on the boards, if they're hitting their shots, they'll beat the Sixers in 5 or 6 games. But because I don't think that's likely to happen, I have to go with the series prediction for me is Sixers in 6. 5 if they get great performances. I just think the Knicks are a great team, but they're a really, really weak 2 seed. They only really got the 2 seed because of the Bucks' deficiencies. So I think the Knicks are going down in 6 games, maybe 5. So the Chicago Bulls sent the Atlanta Hawks home. So our reaction to this is, I kind of called it, right? The X factor here was Kobe White, and he had a game for the ages along with DeMar DeRozan, and that powered the Bulls over the Hawks. And now the Hawks have some questions to ask. Do they trade Trey Young? Do they re-sign DeJounte Murray? Do they start accumulating draft picks and start doing that again? Do they, get rid of DeAndre Hunter? Do they do all that? The Hawks have some questions now, so it's either a rebuild year, trade Trey Young, get some assets, try to stay playoff relevant, but ultimately just start accumulating talent. And is DeJounte Murray going to be okay with that? He suffered through it in San Antonio, but will he be okay with that again? I don't think so. I think the Hawks are heading for a rebuild, and I think the Bulls are probably headed for a date with the Celtics. As long as they keep performing, they don't have Zach LaVine, but if DeMar DeRozan keeps playing out of his mind like he did yesterday, I definitely think that they can beat the Heat and at least take one game from the Celtics. So to move right along there, Bulls Heat. So here again, like if Jimmy Butler, doesn't seem like Jimmy Butler will play tomorrow night. So now it's all on Tyler Hero, who just returned from a foot injury himself, Bam Adebayo. Which one of them will show up? Those are the X factors. Both of them need to show up for the Heat to beat the Bulls. Now, for the Heat, it gets a little easier because the Bulls don't play stifling defense like the Sixers did. So they probably can hit more shots, get more of their offense off against the Bulls than they would against the Celtics or the Sixers. So I think the Heat will have an easier time here, but I still think the Jimmy Butler absence will be felt and the Bulls will beat them. I would say maybe like 115 to 112. I think a late game Kobe White corner three ends the Heat season. The Heat have some questions too. Like, I kind of just answered this question. Does Miami have a chance without Jimmy Butler? They do. They have a little bit of a chance. Yeah, I'm saying there's a chance. They have a little bit of a chance, but I think the Jimmy Butler absence will be felt, and I think Kobe White, DeMar DeRozan, Andre Drummond, and Alex Caruso will be too much for them. I think the Heat are going down I think the Bulls are going to beat the Heat. I think the Kings are going to beat the Pelicans. And like I just said, I don't think either of these teams can beat the Celtics. I think if it's the Bulls, it's Celtics in 5. I think if it's the Heat, it's Celtics in 6, maybe 5, just off the greatness of Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. And you never know, Jimmy might tough it out. So especially if his examination is good. All right, a preview of the grudge match, the grudge playoff match, and the rivalry we didn't know was a rivalry between the Pacers and the Bucks. This game has really turned on its head. I mean, like, I'll just get right into this, right? Obviously, for those that don't know, Giannis Antetokounmpo might not play in the first game, at least the first game of this, because of a torn calf. He's recovering and basically an Achilles as well. It's the same injury that Kevin Durant had before he went down against the Raptors in the finals. So I think that the Bucks should take their time with Giannis. That's the reason you got Damian Lillard. I think when you have playoff Dame, when you have Chris Middleton, he's coming back too. But I mean, with the increased shots now, I think that the Bucks will play more freer basketball. I don't think that they'll be able to beat the Pacers without Giannis, without a healthy Giannis. So I think the Pacers win this series in 6 games. I think they win it in 6 or 7 games. I think Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, that duo will be too much for the Bucks to deal with. And like I said, Damian Lillard scores a lot of points. He also is allergic to playing good defense. I know he's gotten better, but I just think that Damian Lillard will try his best, but I don't think he'll be able to overcome the duo of Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton. And I just think that Miles Turner too will dominate that matchup against Brooks Lopez as well. And so I think if all of that happens, then yeah, Pacers will beat the Bucks in 6 games, maybe 7 if Giannis comes back really healthy. All right, so the one we've all been waiting for, Lakers Nuggets preview. All right, so This is a rivalry. There isn't really much of a rivalry, but it means a lot to the Lakers and the Nuggets. There's some bad blood here. Coach Darvin Ham came out and said that, the Lakers want all the smoke. They're ready for the Nuggets this time. The Nuggets are kind of like, they're good, but they're kind of weaker this year than they were last year because they really don't have like the bench pieces, really missing Bruce Brown and Jeff Green this year. But, I still think Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray will be too much for the Lakers. And I think that, if LeBron and AD can combine for 80 plus points a night, that means that they both have to be dropping at least 30 to 25 points a night, maybe even 40 a night. Then that's the only way the Lakers will beat the Nuggets. I think it'll be Nuggets in 6 games. I'm going to give LeBron and AD their credit for their greatness, but I think the Nuggets will beat them in 6 games. I think it'll be a lot tougher of a series than it was last year, but I still think Nuggets in 6. And I didn't talk about this, but yeah, Nuggets. I think it'll be Nuggets in 6. Timberwolves Suns. I think the Timberwolves will beat the Suns in 7 games. I think youth and depth will win out. The Timberwolves are the more talented team, so I'm picking Timberwolves in 7 over Kevin Durant and them. Crazy. I think the Suns will have a lot to think about. Yeah, and that's my playoff prediction. I believe I will be doing a playoff preview show on Saturday afternoon, so Saturday morning before these games kick off. So definitely check that out later. And now your favorite segment, a lot of y'all's favorite segment. He's not him, she's not her, and they aren't them. Alrighty. So they aren't them to the people. There's a lot of people here who I think are well, first off, my they are them. Let me just do this. My they are them to, let me change that up because I said they are them. My they are them to all the people like me, the long suffering women's basketball WNBA fans who are finally going to get a lot more eyes on the product. For the Asia Wilsons, for everybody who plays really, really good basketball. Finally, you'll get that shine that they need. The WNBA will get its shine. The numbers will increase. Salary should go up as well. That new TV contract with ESPN or whoever will, I think, bring a lot more money in. They'll probably end up being an ESPN CBS joint deal. So I think that's gonna be great. So my they are them to all the women's basketball fans aren't them. My they aren't them though to the casual women's basketball fans, just because I think it's great that more people are watching women's basketball, but I think sometimes people like want to bring their expertise to a realm that they don't understand. And I think that the women's game, there's a lot of problems with how the WNBA advertises. Obviously, it's going to be different now because Caitlin Clark is going to have eyes. Everywhere she goes is going to be sold out. It's going to be like what happened in Iowa on steroids, just in a professional setting. But I think that the WNBA should be taking advantage of the faces, not just Caitlin Clark, not just Angel Reese, not just Camila Cardoso, not just Cameron Brink, but Aja Wilson is the best player right now in the WNBA. She should have a signature shoe deal. Now that's on Nike. I'll get to Nike in a minute. That's on Nike. But she should have that. She's a New York Times best-selling writer. Like, there are a lot more the WNBA has a lot more depth in the star power, and there are a lot of stars. So you new fans of the W now. Please don't be disrespectful to the current stars of the WNBA because people are very protective of Asia Wilson, of Candace Parker, of Jackie Young, of all the people who've been doing this for a while. So please read up on the stars of this game before you blow up Caitlin Clark to heights that she probably won't reach in her rookie year. My he's not him to the Nike CEO. He came out and started talking about remote work and how remote work is to blame for the lack of profits in Nike. Nah, you know what I think is to blame, Mr. Nike CEO. I think it's the fact that even though I haven't tried to buy a sneaker off the sneakers apps in a long time, I think it's the fact that like it's only bots truly, and like maybe a few normal people winning these raffles on the sneakers app. Maybe you should put time into fixing that instead of worrying about remote work. Maybe you should put time time in figuring out the sneakers people want. I'm an AJ4 head. I love Air Jordan 4s. Do that, get some recreation, start bringing out some new colorways, start bringing out some really good sneakers instead of relying on re-release of classics. Even though I love the Air Jordan 4s and the classics, like start relying more on that. Like, you got the Jordan brand, you got a strong Nike brand. Why like fix your app, stop worrying about remote work. Fix your app. Come up with more and better sneaker releases. Do more instead of blaming. I love how people always blame remote work when stuff don't go right. Oh, it's remote work's fault. Nah, maybe it's the people you hire, man. Maybe it's your middle managers and your upper management. Like maybe they stifle the people who actually do the work, the low to middle level employees who do the work, who work their hardest, who don't get their due because they have to wait behind other people's favorites to get the money that they so deserve or get the promotions that they so deserve. Maybe you should focus on that instead of worrying about remote work. So focus on your app, focus on bringing out better sneakers, focus on that. Do a lot more stuff as far as management, upper and lower and middle management. Start rewarding your employees that have creative ideas because that's what I think is missing at Nike. But you worried about remote work. So yeah, that's my he's not him. I don't he's not him. They aren't them. Don't really have a she's not her. It was really good. My she is her to Morgan Price, and all the other black women's athletes who are doing their thing. Obviously, she's like the most famous one who got the most shine this week. But Morgan Price, the gymnast, obviously the gymnastics championships are going on this weekend. Check that out. It's been a great time. Obviously, we got NBA playoffs. The WNBA will be starting next month, so definitely check that one out. Um, and Morgan's home city of DC. I know that they're fitting to move the Capitals game, the Mystics games against the Fever to the Capital One Arena, formerly the Verizon Center, which is where the Wizards and the Capitals play because obviously it's the Caitlin Clark effect. So yeah, I think basketball is on the horizon. Make sure you guys check that out. The gymnastics championships, softball and lacrosse are starting to enter like the final stretch as well. So definitely check out all the sports that's going on. Obviously, the NBA is about to take up a lot of the oxygen with the playoffs starting. So my picks for tomorrow night, like I said, I'm going with the Kings. I'm going with the Bulls. Neither one of those teams will beat the Thunder or the Celtics, but those are my picks for tomorrow night. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Colin Watson. Make sure you follow us. This is just easier. Follow us. Morgan is at M_India_Miller. I am at Kylan W. Watson on X/Twitter. Definitely check out my articles. Like I said, lastwordonsports.com and watsonsportstakes.com. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And again, it's great. It's great to be a fan of sports. Women's sports is on the rise. Um, you know, the gymnastics and lacrosse is starting as well. So we thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. See you next week. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.